Welcome back everyone to another Coach Blaker video. Today we're going to be looking at patch 12.23. If you guys are interested in patch notes happening every 2 weeks, which they are by Riot, if you want me to keep going over them, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know when the next patch drops. I do it every single patch. I am also adding something new. For those of you that want a quick rundown, I have this video, but I'm also recording everything. I'm reading through the entire patch notes on a separate video that is longer. So for those of you that want to know the specifics, go ahead and hop on that video. For those of you that want the speed clear, hop on this video. Without further ado though, let's get started because hey, it's supposed to be the fast one. And of course, if you guys are trying to improve, but it's very hard for you to improve, you're not really sure what to do, how to improve, if you guys are tired of dealing with your teammates and relying on your teammates to win you your games, if you guys are tired of being in the same spot, I recommend going to CoachBlaker.com and booking yourself a session. There is a lesson type for everybody, so I promise there's something for you. For those of you that are on the fence, go ahead and go to my About page and you can schedule a Discord call with me. I have a brief Discord call, nothing long, nothing fancy, and we'll discuss what issues you may be having. We'll discuss what lesson type is best for you, but also there's two main reasons why I do have this scheduled call. First is to see if we have good chemistry. You know, do we work well together? Are we going to get anything accomplished? The second is sometimes people think they need coaching and they really don't because they're not ready for it. So what I like to do is say, you're not ready for that. Come back when you are ready. But then there are people that are ready, but they don't take that leap. And so they're struggling to play, they're struggling to get better, they're struggling to win their games when all they had to do was book a session and remedy all of that. So I definitely recommend that you schedule that call so that we could talk about if coaching is something for you. I highly recommend it. CoachBlaker.com. All right, so we got some ARAM updates. I didn't read through those and I'm not gonna read through those because I'm not an ARAM player, but they look pretty nice. We have Moss Stomper change. So the thing about Moss Stomper is it's been something that has been bought by every single champion. It doesn't even matter if you're a tank or a bruiser, they just buy it anyway. So it's been nerfed, and I'm glad that it's been nerfed. The tenacity of it is lowered, and that's one of the major things that I think is important, that a lot of players or a lot of champions just aren't going to buy it anymore because of that. The same thing is with Ravenous Hydra. A lot of champions tend to buy it even though they don't use it. So things like Kha'Zix would buy it, Graves would buy it, and that's just something that shouldn't be done, right? It should only be used on champions that are specifically trying to use it, and it's a niche item. But everybody's rushing it. So they're removing the Omni-Vamp from it, and they are reducing the damage that it also does. So that's really good. I like that. That is an item that was really strong, and everyone kept buying it. And so the fact that they're buying it too much means that it's a signal that it's OP. Sunfire Aegis. The cost of it has been reduced and you're gaining more HP on it now. Because tanks aren't rushing it anymore, Riot felt like it was needed for them to do something about it so that tanks can rush it more often. Next is Amumu. They want to make sure that Amumu is faster at clearing the jungle later. So they're going to be buffing his mid to late game damage so that way he can clear jungle camps faster, just like the other tank junglers can. They're trying not to make it so that it impacts the support role, but I'm pretty sure it will, and I'm pretty sure he'll get some more adjustments afterward. So Cho'Gath is in the same category with that Immolate passive, right? A lot of these tanks are getting buffs to their ability to clear jungle or to clear camps. Cho'Gath is no exception. They want him to be able to do his job without having that Immolate passive from Bombi Cinder and Sunfire Aegis. So that's why he's getting a buff to his abilities. Mundo has a whole just adjustment. They want him to be stronger mid to late game in terms of being tanky, but they also want to reduce a couple of his damage potential. And now I did go through all this in that video, but I will say I think this change is good, and I definitely think it will have Mundo be really strong later. On top of that, it will make it so he's able to sustain a lot better. On top of that, his new E now does maximum HP of his own, right? So now it's maximum health overall, whereas his old E was based off missing health. So now this is based off maximum health. So this man about to be hitting like a truck. That's all I'm gonna say. They did reduce it to jungle camps though, so you got to be careful. His clear's not gonna be that great, but I do want to see if someone can pull him off in the jungle. Maybe I'll try myself, but I think if Mundo can play jungle and he just farms through like he did the old days, he will be one of the strongest junglers in the game. And if he can manage to get to mid to late game without being behind, he'll just be a force to be reckoned with. So I highly recommend if you guys are interested in Mundo or ever was interested in Mundo, or ever were interested in Mundo, make sure you try that out because it's pretty crazy. K'Sante, base health regeneration increase, health growth increase, E adjusted. This is just a quality life change. It's nothing really too crazy. They just want to make sure that K'Sante functions properly, and they want to try to give him a little nudge for players that don't want to take the time to really get to be a beast with this champion. I think he has a lot of potential, but this champion is one of those champions that if they tweak him too much, he will break. So I'm glad that they're tiptoeing across with this champion. Kassadin got a huge buff, and I think he's going to be one of the most broken champs in the game. I'm calling it now. So the buff to his Q, his Q has an insta shield now. If you guys didn't know, when you would use Q on Kassadin, his shield wouldn't pop instantly. It'd pop at a delay. But now his Q pops instantly, and it's a stronger Q. The shield is stronger. On top of that, his E no longer needs stacks. You can use it whenever it's off cooldown. On top of that, the cooldown is reduced based off who's using abilities. So if you guys are having a team fight, and I'll just read it right here. Ally and enemy spells cast nearby Kassadin reduce E's cooldown by 1 second. Imagine every champ has 2 abilities, and we're having a 5v5. 9 champs times that's 18. 18 seconds reduced. This man is going to be eating throughout the entire team fight as much as he's ulting throughout the entire team fight. This champ is going to be disgusting. I highly recommend you try it. If you ever loved Kassadin, try this champion. Kayn is getting a little buff to a Shadow Assassin. This is going to allow him to be able to execute targets a little bit better, because a lot of the times when you play Shadow Assassin, you guys would do your full combo, pop out, and they live with just a smidge of HP. This will make it so that you could probably finish them off. He's also getting a buff to his E, giving him more HP when he's walking through walls. Lilia's Q base damage decrease. This is not a nerf to Lilia's AP build. This is a nerf to Lilia's tank build. The damage is decreased later, not earlier. So if you're building AP, it's not really going to affect you. But if you're building tankier, you're going to feel the damage reduction because it's reduced. Malphite, they're buffing his E damage and they're buffing the mana cost. So it's going to be 50 mana for all ranks. This is another one of those buffs that they're doing because immolate of Bombi Cinder. People are not buying the Sunfire Aegis anymore, or they're not rushing that item, so that they're not able to wave clip properly. So this is just one of those buffs to that. Maokai is in the same realm. His healing's increased, but also they're buffing his damage to monsters and the ability to clear waves, because again, he just doesn't have that Sunfire Bombi Cinder. So a lot of these changes to these tanks are just strictly just that. Mordekaiser. Passive damage cap to monsters decrease and now only procs on large monsters. So before, Mordekaiser would be able to Q the Raptor Pit and his passive will pop instantly. If you guys didn't know, his passive goes off of 4 stacks. They're making it now so it functions just similar to top lane. In order for him to get those stacks, he needs to cast everything plus land auto attacks on the large monster only, not the little ones too. So his clear is going to be drastically reduced. It's necessary because the champ's broken. Shyvana's E damage versus marked enemies decrease. Now, this change puzzled me because I didn't feel like it needed to be done, but this is a change that you probably won't feel unless you are a Shyvana one-trick, okay? Let me just tell you that right now. Same thing with Sion. He's getting a buff to his Q to allow him to be able to shove quicker, to allow him to be able to keep up. And again, this is just because the Bombi Cinder thing went away. People aren't buying them anymore. Syndra has been nerfed, and they're shifting her power so that she has to be a lot closer. They don't want her to be able to do damage from a far distance. They want her to be a little bit closer to be able to pop off that damage. They also nerfed her a little bit. They're buffing Tompkins' AP ratios. Again, I went through all this in that longer video if you guys want to see, but pretty much they're making it so that he's stronger and has better AP ratios. Trundle's attack speed is reduced. His R damage is decreased. His attack speed is reduced by a little bit, and his R does less damage. I kind of like this because it's not allowing him to be able to snipe players. It's not allowing him to be able to ult and just kill people. On top of that, though, this doesn't make or break Trundle. He will still be the same, and so keep playing him. It's just the damage that he does is going to be reduced. Next, you have Yuumi. Yuumi is getting a nerfed here. Her passive cooldown is increased, and her R root duration is decreased. So her bop and block is going to be increased, and her R duration is decreased. Also, Rad is working on a rework for Yuumi, so she will be reworked in the future. Zack's passive healing is increased, and Q damage is decreased. Health scaling increase. So again, just something to help him be able to clear in the jungle. He's having an issue. A lot of these tanks period are having issues. So that's what that's for. Zeri. Now these changes, I went through all of them again, like I said, but pretty much they're buffing her being more of an AD champion while lowering her range to do so. This change that I went through isn't really crazy. If you're a Zeri player, you're going to feel it. It's going to be great. If you're not a Zeri player, you're not going to be able to really do anything crazy. This champion is one of those champions that require players to actually be good at her. And I think that she's not going to be as strong as people might think just because she's getting a buff. It is definitely something that is going to help Zeri players, but it's not something that where I could pick it up and I could just be great at it. You have to put in that time to play Zeri. Jungle adjustments here. So we have the companions now scaling better with tanks. This is great. So before, the scaling used to be AD, AP, and health. the jungle companion would do damage based off how much you had of that, right? Now they're making it so that it's AD, AP, health, magic resist, and armor. This will make it so that champions that are tanks have a better time clearing the jungle. They're not forced to build HP to have their companions do more damage. They can build resist instantly if they want to. I really, really love this, and I think this is a huge change. Next, we have jungle camps. The jungle camps, the range of the Gromp and the Raptor are reduced. This means that you should be able to move them around a lot easier because they're going to have to attack you from a closer range. They're also increasing the leash range. Now, this is something that I've already said that Riot was going to do. I already said that Riot is going to listen. A lot of the times people, don't like when developers don't listen. People don't like when developers don't change things. Riot pays people to see if what we're requesting can be manipulated, can be used in a horrible way, if it actually works. And if it's something that we suggest that actually makes sense, Riot usually does something to change it. And so that's what they were doing with this changing the leash range. Next, we have objective planning. So this is when the vote system pops up. They're reducing how often it pops up. I already said that they needed to do that, and I'm glad that they did that. ARAM Clash, if you guys play ARAM, Clash is coming to it. I don't know if that's a thing or it's ever been a thing, but if it's never been a thing, it's a thing now, so have fun. Mythic content, I'm not going to go over. Competitive, so they're adding the rune page recommendator. Really cool. They're adding pick order swapping. Now that's something I'm super excited for. So pick order swapping is different. Let's just say I'm ally 1 and you're ally 3. You have to be like, hey, can I first pick? Do you have XYZ? Oh, I don't have Rise. I'm sorry, I can't swap. Now they're saying, hey, can I swap? And I will be ally 3 while you're ally 1. That is hype. No longer do we need to have the same champions. We can just swap like that. Champ select, anonymity, basically, instead of being called ally 1 through 5, they're going to give us jungle camp names, which I think is troll, but it's hilarious. So Gromp, Merkwolf, Raptor, Krug, and Scuttlecrab. And then we have behavioral system for ARAM, bug fixes, and whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed this patch rundown. As I said, I wanted to be fast, quick, and in a hurry. If you guys want the actual specifics to these patch notes, I did make the longer video, and you guys can watch that as well. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you for approaching this like a coach.